Temptation, an itch we've all crossed paths with at one point or another. Whether it's lust, addiction, deceit, self-betrayal, the compulsion to do something you likely shouldn't is quite surprisingly arduous to ignore. No matter who you are, we've all succumbed to it. It is only in the aftermath where we catch ourselves feeling like a fool, like a slave to such immense compulsions. It's as if we lack complete self-control, and this is often where the question beckons: what do we do about it? Well, the harshest of realities is that temptation itself will forever cease to perish. It might dwindle, it might give you a brief respite. There might even come a point in time in which you're convinced the craving has been surmounted altogether. In my opinion, you should never get ahead of yourself. In many of life's scenarios, the first step tends to be the most challenging to take. In this instance, the initial motion is forgiveness. As the cliche saying goes, we're all our own worst critic. When bested by the unrelenting force of temptation, we begin to assume there's not only something wrong with us, but something unfixable. Personally, I dealt with the porn addiction that was at its worst just a few years ago in my late teens. I wasn't aware of the effect that consuming such content had on my brain. Even if I knew it likely wasn't all that healthy, I continued watching nearly every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I eventually had to face the trembling yet inevitable reality that I was completely destroying my sex life, and it would only get worse unless I put an end to it. I don't think people take this addiction serious enough, for it has affected me in ways that, truth be told, I'm still attempting to grasp. But of course, I would occasionally relapse and confront immediate regret. In a moment of self-pity, the last thing I could think of would be to forgive myself. No, all I could think about was my lack of discipline. In such an instance, however, you cannot alter your decision. There are no redos. If you can't forgive yourself, it will likely make the problem worse, for it is in these moments where the relationship with oneself is truly built. If you accept your humanity and your decision for what it was, the step that follows is acknowledgement. Where are the roots? Where does the temptation stem from? Quite often we experience a rush that entices us. Perhaps it's a way to escape, to forget about the daily trials of life and probe into a fantasy far away from reality. It is only when that fantasy becomes reality, however, that we realize the error in our ways. But as forgiveness aids the connection with self, acknowledgement can benefit our awareness of self, of why we keep giving in to what most tempts us. Maybe the daily routines of our lives do not captivate us enough. Picking up on a new skill, hobby, or routine can allow us to experience what we often feel we're missing out on when we succumb to temptation. Oftentimes, these compulsions spawn out of mere boredom. It might excite us more than using our free time to sit around and watch Netflix or play video games all day. But as we documented, no matter what you do, temptation will always find a way to seep in. Therefore, the next step lies in the aura of confrontation. This is where we must greet the beast with a smile and a handshake, questioning just how ceding to its demand will benefit us. If I give in to this temptation, what will occur as a result? Will it be for the better? Will it aid myself or those around me? Or will it only propel the vicious cycle once more? I've always subscribed to the notion that humans share equally as much of a capacity for evil as we do for good. Our objective of doing good, of taking care of ourselves, of giving back to our loved ones, is only mirrored by a desire to betray, to deceive, to lust, etc. This is the duality of man. For you and I, there are dark forces pulsing through our veins. We're vulnerable creatures, beings that, whether or not we'd like to admit, have each followed temptation somewhere, sometime in our lives. What ultimately matters is the lesson, the response, the call to action. It is not our innate abilities that define us. It is our choices.